Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel where we dissect the wildest moments in daytime television, and today we have an absolute bombshell that's shaking the very foundation of ABC's longtime cash cow, The View. The headline that's exploding across social media right now reads, "Joy Behar quits The View after brutal exchange with Ron Howard." Yes, you heard that right, the same Joy Behar who has been a co-host for over 2 decades. The fiery liberal voice that fans either love or love to hate, reportedly stormed off the set and tendered her resignation immediately after a guest spot by Academy Award-winning director and Hollywood legend Ron Howard went completely off the rails. Sources inside the studio say the tension was palpable from the moment Ron sat down, and what started as a seemingly innocent discussion about his new documentary quickly devolved into a full-blown ideological war that left the audience gasping, Whoopi Goldberg speechless, and Joy Behar reportedly screaming backstage that she was done with this circus forever. Clips are already circulating on TikTok and X showing Joy's face turning redder than her signature glasses as Ron Howard, normally the calmest man in any room, pushed back harder than anyone expected. Insiders claim the breaking point came when the conversation turned to politics, free speech on college campuses, and the role of Hollywood in shaping public opinion. Topics that Joy has never shied away from dominating. But this time, according to multiple production staff who spoke anonymously, Ron Howard came prepared with receipts, statistics, and personal stories that allegedly left Joy scrambling for talking points and eventually lashing out in a way that stunned even the most seasoned crew members who thought they'd seen everything after 27 seasons. Let's set the stage for exactly how this explosive episode unfolded because the buildup was months in the making. Ron Howard was booked to promote his latest project, a documentary about free expression and the dangers of cancel culture. Something that immediately raised eyebrows among the more progressive hosts. Producers reportedly assured the panel it would be a light segment, 20 minutes tops, mostly about Ron's career, Happy Days nostalgia, and maybe a few cute stories about his daughter Bryce Dallas Howard. But anyone who's watched The View for more than 5 minutes knows that no political topic stays apolitical for long, especially not in 2025 when every issue feels like a live wire. The show opened normally. Whoopi did her monologue, Sunny Hostin cracked a few jokes, and then Ron Howard walked out to massive applause. For the first 8 minutes everything was fine, compliments were flying. Joy even called him America's sweetheart director and reminisced about watching the Andy Griffith Show reruns as a kid in Brooklyn. But then Alyssa Fair Griffin, the conservative co-host, gently steered the conversation toward the thesis of Ron's documentary, asking whether Hollywood had become too afraid to tell certain stories. That's when Joy jumped in with both feet, allegedly saying that claims of cancel culture were overblown and mostly used by people who just wanted to say offensive things without consequences. Ron, ever the gentleman at first, reportedly smiled and said he respectfully disagreed, citing specific examples of projects being shelved and writers being blacklisted for wrongthink. And that's when the temperature in the room shot up 20 degrees. What happened next is being described as the most intense 5 minutes in The View's recent history. According to leaked audio that's now viral, Joy Behar interrupted Ron mid-sentence, accusing him of parroting right-wing talking points and suggesting that rich Hollywood elites like him didn't understand real censorship because they could always find work. Ron Howard apparently stayed remarkably composed but pushed back firmly, pointing out that he spent 50 years in an industry that once celebrated diverse viewpoints but now polices language to an extreme degree. He brought up his own experiences trying to get balanced political documentaries greenlit and how certain distributors refused because the films didn't align perfectly with progressive orthodoxy. Joy reportedly laughed dismissively and said something to the effect of, "Oh please, Ron, you directed Solo, a Star Wars story, you're not exactly struggling," which got a few awkward chuckles from the audience but clearly struck a nerve. Ron then dropped what many are calling the mic drop moment. He looked directly at Joy and said, "With all due respect, Joy, I've watched you on this show for years call for people to be fired, boycotted, and deplatformed for having different opinions, so maybe examine which side has been doing most of the silencing lately." The audience went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop, and Joy's face reportedly went through every shade of red known to mankind. Commercial break couldn't come fast enough, but even during the break things allegedly got worse backstage. Multiple crew members claim Joy Behar was pacing in the hallway yelling that she was being ambushed and that Ron Howard had come on our show to attack us. Producers were scrambling. Whoopi Goldberg reportedly tried to calm everyone down, telling Joy it's just television, honey. But Joy was having none of it. When they came back from break, the tension was thicker than New York fog. Joy attempted to regain control by pivoting to Ron's family and asking about his grandkids, but Ron politely brought it back to the topic, saying he was concerned about the world his grandchildren were inheriting where people are afraid to speak honestly. That's when Joy allegedly lost it completely, snapping that she was sick and tired of privileged men lecturing women about free speech and accusing Ron of being a secret MAGA supporter, which is wild considering Ron Howard has donated to Democrats for decades and openly criticized Trump on numerous occasions. The audience started murmuring, some cheering Joy, others booing, and security reportedly moved closer to the stage just in case things escalated physically, which has never happened in the show's history. The final straw came when Ron Howard, still calm but clearly done sugarcoating, looked at the panel and said, "I came here in good faith to have an adult conversation, but it's clear some people only want echo chambers, not actual dialogue." He then thanked Whoopi personally for having him and said he hoped one day the show would live up to its name and actually present the view from more than one side. At that point Joy Behar reportedly stood up, ripped off her mic pack, threw it on the table, and walked off set mid-segment, something that has literally never happened before on The View. The camera cut quickly to a stunned Whoopi Goldberg who ad-libbed well a broken bar "I guess we'll be right back" as the audience erupted in chaos. Backstage, according to witnesses, Joy went straight to her dressing room, called her agent, and within an hour a resignation letter was reportedly sent to ABC executives stating that she could no longer work in an environment that allowed guests to disrespect the hosts in that manner. By the time the episode ended, #JoyQuits was trending worldwide, with millions of posts either celebrating her exit or mourning the end of an era. So what happens now? ABC has released a very carefully worded statement saying they respect Joy's decision and thank her for 20-plus incredible years while refusing to comment on the specifics of what transpired with Ron Howard. Ron himself posted a short message on Instagram saying he was saddened by how the conversation unfolded but stood by everything he said. Meanwhile, speculation is running wild about who could replace Joy. Names like Anna Navarro, Amber Ruffin, and even a possible return of Meghan McCain are being thrown around. But the bigger question is whether this marks the beginning of the end for The View as we know it. Ratings have been slipping for years. Younger audiences prefer podcasts and TikTok, and incidents like this only fuel the narrative that the show has become predictable and hostile to any dissenting viewpoint. Whether you love Joy Behar or couldn't stand her, you have to admit her departure after a clash with someone as universally respected as Ron Howard is the kind of television moment people will be talking about for years. And honestly, in a world where everything feels scripted and focus grouped, seeing two legends go at it unfiltered was almost a broken bar refreshing? Let me know in the comments if you think Joy will stay gone or if this is just another dramatic exit she'll walk back in a week. And if you want me to break down the full unedited footage as soon as it leaks, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications because trust me, this story is only getting started.